제시카 외동딸 일리노이 시카고 과선배는 김치모 그는 이사촌.
Let's face it, 2019 was Parasite's year, hands down. It started off strong with its Palme d'Or win at the Cannes Film Festival, and the hype for it only grew as the year progressed. It became a phenomenon, breaking foreign box office records and securing itself as the best-rated film on Letterboxd. But would its hype translate into a Best Picture win? Many thought not. The rational thinking was that the Academy would award Best Picture to either Jojo Rabbit or 1917. Jojo Rabbit because it won the Audience Award at TIFF, which, historically, significantly raises the chances of a Best Picture win. In 1917 because, well, it's a movie made for the Academy, but past performance is no guarantee of future results. Parasite's hype was strong enough to best the two frontrunners, and, well, since weed is legal in California now, everyone in the Academy wanted to take a hit from the bong. Hit after hit after hit. It was an historic night, with Parasite being the first South Korean film to win an Oscar, and the first film to win both the Best Foreign Film and the Best Picture Oscars. And the hype has not died down since, even if bong is on a break. Both mainstream moviegoers and cinephiles love the film, but why? How does this film appeal to just about everyone, and was even enjoyed by audiences who normally would not watch subtitled films? Spoiler warning for anyone that cares. Also, I don't speak Korean, so my pronunciations may not be great. Before we dive into Parasite, let's go back to Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock had a distinction about the difference between surprise and suspense. Surprise is when no one knows a bomb is under the table and it blows up all of a sudden. Suspense is when the audience knows the bomb is under the table, but the people on the stage or in the film don't. The audience's knowledge of the impending doom invests them into the story as they long for the characters to realize that the bomb is there and ready to blow. Bong shows the audience the bomb in Parasite. It's not a real bomb, but a metaphorical one. Instead of wires and TNT, it's crafted out of lies, deceit, and greed. And not just that, we see the characters setting up the bomb. We know it's going to explode, even if the characters think that they can escape unscathed. Everything pays off. It's a film with almost no fat. But what keeps the film interesting is that not everything pays off how we think they will. Let's take, for example, the landscape stone. Min gives it to the family, telling them that it brings great material wealth. Over the next act, we see the whole family secure high-paying jobs at the Park's house. It looks like it paid off. But no, it still holds a few surprises for us. The rock re-enters the film when Ki-woo finds it floating in the semi-basement. At this moment, Bong transforms a symbol of creation to a symbol of destruction, as Ki-woo attempts to murder Geun-se with this rock. And at the last moment, Geun-se reverses the destructive power of the rock onto Ki-woo, cementing the rock as an agent of self-destruction, no doubt a side effect of material wealth. Another interesting object that Bong transforms in the film is Ki-jung's underwear. Initially, it's used as a trap to falsely paint the driver as a pervert, but the destructive nature of the panties persists, as it helps turn Ki-Taek against Dong-ik, as Ki-Taek overhears Dong-ik both sexualizing the panties and calling them cheap. It's a double offense to Ki-Taek, as it both dishonors his daughter and his family. Those are just a few wires in the bomb that spectacularly explodes, though. With each lie that Kims conjure, the more powder they throw into the keg, and the more the fuse shrinks. We watch the film, fully aware of the potential consequences, glued to the screen to see how it will all go down. And for how surprising the film is, everything is foreshadowed. Seriously, watch it a second time and see just how Bong signals just about everything that happens. Dong-ik Park notes that the maid eats enough for 2 people. The pesticide gas causes all of the Kim's clothes to smell the same. Their tendency to keep their windows open in the beginning of the film comes back at the end when the rainwaters flood into the semi-basement. There's also Da-sung's dramatic ghost encounter in the first grade, which we later learn is actually Geun-se living in the underground bunker. And the bunker, we learn that almost no one knows of its existence, which comes into play at the end, as Ki-Taek uses it as a shelter after the events of the garden party. Even the drunk guy peeing in front of their semi-basement foreshadows the flood of rain and sewage. And who could forget the peaches? The maid's allergy to peaches not only aids in getting her fired, but also in effectively killing her, which then causes Geun-se to snap and ignite the bomb. Everything is set up and played out in such a way so that the film is unrelenting. The tension only builds, and the surprises are only surprises we really should have seen coming. The overall structure of the film is masterful. But what puts it above the rest? Why did it win Best Picture? No other well-paced thriller in recent memory has quite captured the zeitgeist like Parasite. To quote the movie, it's so metaphorical, So let's dive deeper. Let's go below the surface and into the semi-basement and the bunker. One of the starkest motifs in the film is the use of elevation, above ground and underground. The Kims live not just in a semi-basement, but a semi-basement at the bottom of a long flight of stairs. To contrast that, the Parks live at a high elevation, and the characters have to ascend a flight of stairs to get to their house. The Kims are literally lower class, and the Parks are, quite literally, upper class. But, of course, a microcosm of this elevation and class disparity also exists entirely within the house. The Parks sleep on the second floor, and Geun-se, and later Ki-Taek, live in the fallout shelter beneath the house. But here's something to note. The fallout shelter is still at a higher elevation than the Kim semi-basement. Even though the person who lives in the bunker must live a parasitic existence on the house owners, it's better than living in the semi-basement. That's why Geun-se develops such an obsession with Mr. Park. He knows that the Parks are the reason for his comfort. Sure, he might live in a glorified prison cell, but at least he can eat well, and he's in the presence of the elite. And let's go back to talking about the landscape rock, the object that starts it all, and in a sense, ends it as well. Remember how it comes back into the story during the flooding of the semi-basement? Well, how does it come back? It floats. This rock, a bringer of material wealth, is hollow, as is the pursuit of wealth, according to Bong. The Kims have tried time and time again to obtain financial security. They ran some shops that closed. We see them making pizza boxes at the beginning, but their pay is docked due to a quarter of the boxes being folded incorrectly. Which of the 4 family members messed up the folding, we can only assume, but my money is on the dad. But the strategy that works best for them is their scam. It's obvious that this is not the first time they've pulled off something like this. Their scam is a well-oiled machine. It's also kind of a fourth wall breaking scam as they direct each other in how to say their lines. But I digress. We have to consider that at the beginning they're close to destitute, desperately trying to find an internet connection off which to leech. So if they've put their signature scam into play before, it's only led them back to poverty. And we know that the scam will eventually fail. There are too many lies, cover-ups, and witnesses to the truth. So the material wealth that Min brought to them was hollow. I don't want to get political, but you could expand this metaphor to society at large, that poor people will stay poor and the rich will stay rich. Any deviations from this could be seen as flukes that will adjust themselves out in time. All Ki-woo can do at the end is fantasize about making enough money to buy the house to free his dad. But the reality is that this will never be so. And if there was a popular theme that stuck with audiences this last year, it was the class divide. Normal people are pushed to the fringes as wages stagnate while the cost of living rises. While the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, the disdain between the two classes grows. This division is one of the reasons that Joker and Parasite resonated. But how do we see this disdain in the film? We see it immediately when the city has exterminators spray pesticide throughout the poor neighborhood. It's meant to kill the bugs, but Bong shows us the family choking on the noxious gas. It begins the comparison between Ki-Taek and cockroaches, a term even his wife calls him. In the end, he's forced to live in the shadow, only coming out to steal food at night. Much like a roach. But did he start as one, or was he reduced to being one? Adding to that, the micromanagement by Mr. Park reveals that he doesn't trust or respect any of the Kims or any of his previous servants. He and his wife easily assume the worst about their previous servants and fire them without blinking an eye. On top of their demands, Mr. Park requires that they never cross the line in any way, shape, or form. The Kims' faking of their personas and credentials is their way of rebelling against the rich and showing their own disdain for them. But the two groups can only be in contact with each other for so long before the passive aggressiveness escalates to aggressiveness. It's interesting to note that the trait that both families share is their propensity to lie and manipulate. The Kims lie about their identities and pasts, of course, but the Parks lie to their servants about why they fire them. Da-sung completely makes up his artistic revelations to make his parents think he's some sort of eccentric genius. Ki-jung, or Jessica, fabricates the idea that Da-sung could be showing signs of schizophrenia in his paintings as a manipulation to charge higher rates and secure her position. Moon-gwon keeps her husband in the bunker and secretly feeds him with the Parks' food. Ki-woo starts a relationship with Da-hai first to save his job as tutor, but he keeps it going under the hopes of marrying rich, even reading her diary to see what he can do to win her over even more. And speaking of hiring actors to play as his parents should the marriage happen, rich or poor, servant or master, no one is blameless. No one is perfect. Looking through the class divisions, every character is just a human being fighting for their own survival in their own way. That's why it won Best Picture. It's not only a tightly written and satisfying thriller, it's a film with a timely message that effectively interweaves its message and themes into the story without treating the audience like they're stupid. There's more to unpack with this film, and I'm sure I've missed more than a few things, so of course, I encourage discussion in the comments. And if you like Parasite, I highly recommend the film Burning, which released in 2018 to not as much fanfare, but it tackles similar themes of class in a superb way. This might be heresy, but I actually kind of prefer it. Both are great though. Anyway, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please consider checking out some of the other videos on this channel. I will see you all in the next video.